Only in America.
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 Hey there, I'm Ali Nirani, and you are listening to episode number 99 of Only in America. In this episode, new Americans don't need to be told to speak English. They're ready and they're willing.
I want to learn English more. It's only I don't have time.
And why the employers who support their new American employees are so invested in English language learning.
For us, this is about making sure that we are helping drivers with skill development in whatever way we can. Mm-hmm. And we knew that language learning, and not just English language, just language learning in general, was something that was very appealing for drivers. And we knew that drivers who specifically were immigrants or refugees, the ability to learn English will help them succeed in whatever they're going to be doing in life. And it's going to help them succeed as a Lyft driver. It's going to be able to help them have better conversations and create more connectivity.
It's that dignity and respect during the ride.
Exactly.
Yep.
Enhancing the ability to have dignity and respect during that ride. And also to be able to enhance their skills and reduce that skills gap for them towards whatever their career goals are.
From the National Immigration Forum, I'm Ali Nirani. English language learning is how immigrants integrate into communities across the United States. Quite frankly, when immigrants are able to improve their English skills, they are in a position to reach their fullest potential and help the United States compete on the global stage. Many immigrants already speak English when they arrive, but those who are learning and improving their language skills face institutional and personal obstacles along the way, which contributes to a larger gap. The American Action Forum estimates that by 2020, the United States will be short 7.5 million workers across all skill levels. Improving English skills of immigrants who are limited English proficient is one important way to meet the talent needs of employers. A few years back, the forum started a program called Skills and Opportunities for the New American Workforce as one way to bridge this divide. The program provides contextualized English language learning to help employees improve their vocabulary and communication skills specific to their jobs. We partnered with companies to help their workers enhance their skill development, job performance, and confidence by learning more English. From Kroger to Publix to Whole Foods and now to Lyft. Participants have increased their English language skills, leading to improved confidence and better productivity. Most recently, Lyft joined the program and then took their involvement a few steps further. I spoke more about this with Mike Masserman, who is head of global policy and social impact at Lyft. Mike told me about why it's so important that Lyft supports their immigrant drivers. And later, one of Lyft's drivers tells me about how taking English classes has benefited her. Mike, thank you very much. We really appreciate the time and really appreciate everything that Lyft is doing. So before we get to Lyft and before we get to the program, tell me a little about yourself. How do you find yourself here in San Francisco working for Lyft?
I originally came from Irvine, California, and I came to Lyft straight from the Obama administration. I had taken a leave of absence from my job in spring of 2008 to join the Obama campaign, and that led to me working in the administration of the Commerce Department, running first this Office of Industry Engagement and advisory committees, and then the President's National Export Initiative.
And you grew up in California?
I grew up in Southern California in Orange County.
Uh-huh.
But my mom is Israeli, and my dad is from Detroit, and his parents actually emigrated to the U.S. at the turn of the century from what's now the Ukraine, then Russia. And so, my grandmother actually came through Ellis Island.
Oh, really?
And my grandfather didn't have the money to get through Ellis Island, so he actually had to emigrate through Canada. Went to Milwaukee originally. My great-grandfather was a lamplighter in Milwaukee. And then their family ended up in Detroit. My dad actually wrote a book about the Jews in America, about the immigration story of actually Jews coming to America and what their experience was like. Uh-huh. And so, the point there is that my family had always taught me about the story of immigration and the idea of actually leading with values and what's right and wrong. Mm-hmm. And for me, I was working as a corporate lawyer, first in New York, then in Australia, and I felt like we were at this crossroads in history when Obama was running. And when I left my job in Sydney to join the Obama campaign, it was really one of the first times in my adult career that I felt like I was advocating for something bigger than myself, that I was able to lead with values and work on issues that I knew were going to have these real impacts on folks. And when I was transitioning out of the administration, I really wanted to go to a company where I felt aligned with what they were doing. And of course, it was nice to get back to California as well.
This is not a terrible place to live.
Yeah, of course. And so when I met the folks here at Lyft, not only was it a really interesting industry, not only were they, absolutely changing people's lives, but the way in which they were doing it was very much aligned with my values, really focusing on the humanity of it all. And ever since the Zimri days, which was the predecessor to Lyft, there has always been this focus on the rider-driver relationship, on reducing carbon emissions, on creating more connectivity, and on creating policy in a really collaborative way. And on working with people in the community and building community in a way that was going to be for the better of this world and of our society.
So give me a sense over the last 5 years of kind of how Lyft has grown. Because I remember when we first met, I felt like it was an office about 1/80th of this size.
Yeah.
And when I say growth in terms of like the driver population, where your drivers are coming from.
Well, look, the growth has been extraordinary. And what I can tell you is that we were in a much smaller office. We now have, I think, almost 5,000 employees. We have, millions of drivers and riders. And we still, I think, have that same core ethos about focusing on that humanity. Our mission still to improve people's lives with the world's best transportation. The core values here haven't changed. What has changed is that we don't have necessarily the same pink mustache. We don't have like the fist bump.
Forgot about the pink
mustache.
Right,
the fist bump, the pink mustache. And, I tell a story to friends when I was leaving DC, people were like, wait a second, you're going to that like pink mustache company? Like, really? Like, wow. And now, of course, people are like, oh my God, Lyft. Right. Because the values and that ethos that I just referenced, I think had always been so core to the founders, John and Logan. And I think what's been very interesting is to see us grow while maintaining that same cultural value.
So then tell me about the driver community that you work with now.
Well, look, the drivers are at the heart of everything that we're doing. There was the mantra back in the days when I came was, you're a friend with a car. And when the other competitors was like your own professional chauffeur, I think that same mentality and this notion of drivers being at the heart of what we're doing still remains. There's a huge focus on being able to make sure that the drivers have all the tools they need to succeed. So we launched a driver services program a few months back, and this was helping drivers get to different vehicle service centers, helping them with direct payments, helping them with what we have as an express drive program where they can rent vehicles if they don't have vehicles that qualify now. And also really just making sure that drivers are represented through our driver advisory councils all across the country. And then also making sure that we're telling those driver stories. So from where I sit, from like the social impact perspective, we have amazing programs where drivers are jumping into action, whether it's like years ago during Hurricane Harvey and Hurricanes Irma, and doing rides to hospitals and shelters, to literally last week. And currently what's happening is drivers are doing rides to people in cooling centers in places like New York. And some of the stories about these drivers and their communities and what they're doing is absolutely extraordinary. And so for us to be able to tell those stories of these drivers, who, by the way, are very representative of America. They come from all different backgrounds and walks of life. And so one of the things that we really care about here is this notion of respect and dignity, that we acknowledge that people are going from point A to point B. Like, we get that. We understand that people are very sensitive to price and ETAs. But during that time they're in the car, if you can create that sense of respect and dignity, like I mentioned, and you can have a connection with someone in a very human way and kind way, maybe even have some compassion and empathy, because we're all different, and you get into a car with people who look different than you, who sound different than you, who come from dramatically different backgrounds. There's something really special about that, and there's something I think really special about honoring that, especially for our drivers.
I mean, all of us have the story of getting into a Lyft and talking to a driver and realizing that driver is from Iraq, Mexico, China, from social impact, and you come to know the drivers. What do you want to do for that immigrant driver?
Well, I can tell you that, first of all, we want to make sure that the experience that they're having on the platform is exceptional, and we want to make sure that we're doing everything we can to help them achieve whatever their goals are. So first, just a little bit, taking a step back. So 90% of our drivers are fully employed, or they're seeking full-time employment, like students, retired, all sorts of folks around the spectrum. Over 90% of the drivers are doing this 20 hours a week or less. and many of them are doing this around different schedules.
Right.
So these are folks who typically aren't looking for necessarily full-time work. I think that's important to know. Second is that there are different pockets where we have more immigrant drivers than others, and just like the rest of the world, that not everyone wants the same things.
Right.
But what I can tell you is that the stories of some of these drivers is absolutely amazing. We have a driver, Jesus, in Nashville. He was a DACA recipient. He actually, when we were going through the DACA fight and Lyft was speaking out and expressing an interest in helping our drivers who potentially were DACA recipients, he reached out. We ended up connecting with him. And Jesus is now part of our trust and safety team in Nashville. He's actually like a Lyft employee. And his story and the story of his family is an amazing one. There's another Lyft driver, Mark Lane. I met Mark a few months back, and he actually has a nonprofit, the Minority Humanitarian Foundation, that helps immigrants once they arrive to get resettled. And he literally is driving to be able to raise money for this nonprofit.
Yep.
And his stories about the people he's been able to help, and knowing that transportation is a barrier for immigrants once they come here, allowed us to really think about how we could have an impact, not just in the lives of our drivers who are immigrants, but also in the lives of immigrants who are coming here where we know it's a barrier for them. So recently we were able to give credits to Mark's organization and also work with organizations like Raices, who you mentioned, to be able to help immigrants get to and from legal appointments.
Right. We teamed up to launch an English language program for the drivers. So before we even describe the program, why did you see this as something that's core to the success of the driver community?
Look, for us, this is about making sure that we are helping drivers with skill development in whatever way we can. And we knew that language learning, and not just English language, just language learning in general, was something that was very appealing for drivers. And we knew that drivers who specifically were immigrants or refugees, the ability to learn English will help them succeed in whatever they're going to be doing in life. And it's going to help them succeed as a Lyft driver. It's going to be able to help them have better conversations and create more connectivity.
It's that dignity and respect during the ride.
Exactly.
Yep.
Enhancing the ability to have dignity and respect during that ride. And also to be able to enhance their skills and reduce that skills gap for them towards whatever their career goals are.
So this is, I think, a really important part of this, because oftentimes, like, the assumption is that you want a driver to drive for Lyft forever, but what you're saying is whether it's English language skills or something else, is Lyft kind of a step in their career?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I think like we acknowledge that, for, again, the vast majority of our drivers, they're doing this very much on a part-time basis. And we want to be able to help them in their personal and professional growth. And at the same time, we thought this was a program that also could enhance connectivity and also empower our communities and bring people together. And so, the programs that you all have in Duolingo were extraordinary in that we were able to provide skills for these drivers that we thought would be incredibly transferable.
And yeah, we've seen, for example, we did this program with Whole Foods, and in the second year of providing the program to Whole Foods, Kroger, and Publix, almost 40% of people got a promotion because of increased English language skills. They went from baking cakes to selling cakes, which is life-changing, both in terms of opportunity, much less income. So those are the kinds of things hopefully this will open up.
That's certainly, one of our hopes is that these opportunities will help folks explore whatever their dreams are. And we know that in cities like Houston and others like DC, where we have a larger population of immigrant drivers, that we know these drivers really want to learn English. They want to be able to communicate with passengers. So we think it will help them in that, that driver experience as well.
So then tell me a little something about kind of the role of corporate America, the role of Lyft in helping other Americans understand the value of immigrants and immigration. Because, like you said earlier, like the Obama election was a crossroads. I would argue that this is a crossroads not in a political way, but just in the way that people interact and understand immigration. So how does Lyft approach this moment?
Yeah, well, I think, look, putting politics aside, we approach it from a few angles. First and foremost, we know that we can help through transportation. Again, that transportation is a barrier for many immigrants. And so last year, during the family separation crisis, we worked with 50 different organizations across the country to give them ride credits so that their clients can get to and from legal appointments. Yep. So number one is improving people's lives with the world's best transportation, like I said. So we knew that we could have a real unique impact with a population who we knew needed help. So that's number one. Number two is that we believe there's an opportunity to shine a light on our community. And we have a very big, broad, diverse community that includes a lot of immigrants. And that means amongst our employees, amongst our riders, amongst our drivers, amongst our partners, amongst all our various stakeholders. And for us to be able to highlight these drivers and others in our community in a way that shows how not only they're the engines of growth and innovation, but also that they're part of the fabric of what makes America wonderful. And we launched a campaign over July 4th around this idea that America is an idea, not a geography. And it was a chance for us to not only help a number of different organizations with more rides and bring on Raíces as a Round Up and Donate partner, but also be able to tell stories of some of our drivers and highlight some of the nonprofits that they're supporting.
Right. So last question for you. The name of the podcast is Only in America. So just finish the sentence. Only in America, ...
That's a great question. Only in America can we, I think, have some sense of political discourse, be civically engaged in a manner that we think is really important, and also very much enjoy this journey and adventure.
Hey man, thank you very much. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
I was fortunate enough to speak to one of the participants of the Skills and Opportunities for the New American Workforce program. Fatimo Akinlade is a Lyft driver who moved to Chicago after facing hardship in Nigeria. She told me that she's eager to improve her English language skills both in class and in conversations with the passengers that she takes around Chicago. Her language class teacher describes her as just wonderful, very motivated, eager to learn and improve herself. Fatimo told me about her experiences as a Lyft driver, why she loves living in Chicago, don't let it go to your head, Chicago, and her commitment to bettering her English skills. Fatimo, thank you so much for joining.
You're welcome.
So tell me a little bit about how you find yourself in Chicago. Where were you before Chicago? How did you get to Chicago?
I'm from Nigeria, Africa. Maybe 2014 or 16, my husband died. They killed my husband. After that, I'm not okay. I'm tired. I feel tired of life. One of my friends advised me that try to go to US, you'll be all right and you'll be okay there. I said, about my children? She said, God will take care of them. I said, okay. Now I started to be processing US. Fortunately for me, they gave me visa and I come to US. I stay with a friend.
And how do you like Chicago?
Chicago is very nice place. I love it.
No, do you like the winter?
Yes, I don't have choice because I like US.
That's fair.
I'm a paint manufacturer in Nigeria before. Mm-hmm. When my husband died, the company folded up. So nothing again for me. I don't have money. I don't have anything again. I'm now useless. You know my age, everything. In Nigeria, if you are in this age, you have to go, just be keeping indoor there. Now, one of my friends advised me that I should try to go to US. I plan my visa and God answered me. That's why I come. I buy tickets from Nigeria to New York. You know, I traveled before. I always travel before my husband died. Now, when I reach Chicago, I really love Chicago. I started to be working. So from there, I get a car loan. When I get car loan and I know how to drive before, I go and get my driving license. I started with Lyfts. I go to Truman College. I didn't go to school before. I go to Truman College. I go to ESL. And I run away. I didn't finish it.
Why did you decide to do the ESL classes now?
Anywhere that I had that they want to teach us English, I like to be there. That's why I joined this one.
Mm. And what did you like about this class?
It's very nice. I like it because of the English class. I want to learn English more. It's only I don't have time because of my bills. That's why I don't have time.
And do you feel like your English skills have gotten better after this class? Because your English is very good.
Yes, I like it. I appreciate it.
What do you want to do after being a Lyft driver? What are your plans for the future?
I like to be a nurse, but I don't have time, and I don't have time to go to the school. But nothing I can do. I will stay with Lyft.
And how have your trips with the customers changed as your English has improved?
Yes, I used to chat. Talk with my my passengers. We talk. They laugh. They will laugh. We tell ourselves many stories, and they laugh. They say they like me. That's all. I know how to approach them.
Are your kids still in Nigeria, or are they here with you now?
My kids, they are in Nigeria.
Okay.
They are growing up children. I have 3 children.
Okay. Are they impressed with your English skills now?
Yes, they are very happy. They are happy.
So you want to become a nurse. As your English skills have gotten better, how else are you using your improved English skills?
With my passengers. I used to brush my English with my passengers. I always talk to my passengers when they come in.
What's the best?
And I used to tell them that my English is not good, and I want it to be good. That's why I'm talking to you. I'm very sorry if I'm disturbing you.
What would you like to tell other drivers who are thinking about improving their English skills?
And they're supposed to be coming to the class to come and do as I do. Anywhere that I had that they are teaching English, I love to be there. That's why I came. Not that I have the time, but I love to be where they said they want to teach us English. That's why I joined the class.
That's amazing. And do you think if they offer another class, will you take that class as well?
Yes, yeah. I will try.
This podcast is called Only in America. And if you could finish this sentence, only in America, ...
Only America, good things happen to me. I love America. God bless America.
Support for the National Immigration Forum comes from the James Irvine Foundation, expanding opportunity for the people of California, and from the Carnegie Corporation of New York, established in 1911 by Andrew Carnegie to promote the advancement and diffusion of knowledge and understanding.
Now, while these new language learning opportunities for new Americans are breaking ground, English instruction experts have been paving the way for years. Teresita Wisell is the Executive Director of the Community College Consortium for Immigrant Education at Westchester Community College in New York. Terry and I chatted about the importance of English language learning for immigrants in their efforts to integrate into communities across the U.S.
In Westchester County, where I work at Westchester Community College, we are a county, really, we call ourselves the two Westchesters, right? We're that affluence that you know about from communities like Scarsdale and Bedford and Chappaqua, where the Clintons make their home, but other really needy urban areas with very high percentages of immigrants and foreign-born residents, places like Yonkers and Peekskill and White Plains and Portchester and Mount Vernon. The list goes on. So this is a county that is 25% foreign-born, and 33% of our county residents speak a language other than English at home. So Westchester Community College has always been committed to serving that population. We have the largest English as a second language program in the State University of New York and in the county, of course. And so in the early 2000s, when we were breaking ground for a new building at the college, it became clear to us that we wanted to create a building that would be the physical symbol of our commitment to serving that immigrant population. And so we started to break ground on what we call the Gateway Center, and it became precisely that for us. It became the home of our English Language Institute. And we demonstrated at that time, Ali, that we were going to give our best real estate to our English language learners. Rather than putting those classes in leftover buildings or in basements of churches, et cetera, we were going to elevate the visibility of our commitment to that population. Community colleges really serve as an entry point in so many ways for immigrants and refugees to begin their education in this country, but also to fill gaps that they may need. And they could be very small gaps, but gaps that they need to be able to fully integrate economically, civically, socially into their communities.
So a few years ago, we started a partnership with you all and Miami-Dade College to launch this program, Skills and Opportunities for the New American Workforce. And the idea was to provide English classes at the worksite through the employer to help workers within the retail sector reach their fullest potential. Looking back on the first couple of years, what has been, if you will, the most pleasant surprise from the program?
For me, the most pleasant surprise has been the engagement of the employers, because I knew that the employees would be ready, willing, and eager to improve their English. I know that foreign-born individuals or limited English proficient residents of this county want to learn English. They want to advance. They want to participate and contribute. But the engagement of, in our case, Whole Foods, from the floor managers to the store managers to the folks in their human resource and talent development offices, has been really impressive on two levels. The first is that, as you've seen firsthand and as I've seen firsthand, the level of English proficiency of the Whole Foods employees is varied, right? There are some individuals in our classes with what I would determine to be low levels of English proficiency. Yet they are employed at Whole Foods. They are contributing every day to the work and to the customer service at Whole Foods. And they are being valued as assets to that business model and to each of the stores in which they work. Additionally, there are others folks who are in more customer-facing positions in Whole Foods whose English is quite good and who want to just make those small improvements that will allow them to feel a little more comfortable when dealing with customers and with their colleagues. And so on both ends of that continuum, the investment that Whole Foods is making to their employees has been somewhat surprising to me and really gratifying to see.
Mike Masserman is the head of global policy and social impact at Lyft. Fatimo Akinlade is a Lyft driver participating in English language learning classes. And Teresita Wisell is the executive director of the Community College Consortium for Immigrant Education at Westchester Community College. You can find more information about all of them on our website, immigrationforum.org. And while you're there, make sure that you fill out our special listener survey. It's your last week number 99, remember, to give us your feedback, and we'd love to hear from you. Answer just a few short questions at immigrationforum.org/podcast, and you'll be entered for a chance to win a signed copy of my book, There Goes the Neighborhood: How Communities Overcome Prejudice and Meet the Challenge of American Immigration. Just a few extra minutes of your time would help us out a lot and ensure that Only in America continues to bring you the stories that you want to hear. And thank you to everyone who's already completed the survey. Only in America is produced and edited by Emily Chow, Joanna Taylor, and Megan Wetmore. Kathleen Farrell is the executive producer, and I'm Ali Nirani. Thanks for listening to Only in America. Talk to you next week.